fellow dreamers. Welcome to Northland Homestead. So I thought in today's video we could do a little chat while I get some work done here in the kitchen. My kitchen's a bit messy and I also need to do some baking because I have absolutely no dessert in this house, which my kids are much dismayed about. So we gotta rectify this situation. So this is future me cutting in to let you guys know that instead of doing baking on this video, I'm gonna be preparing dinner because when I was filming this, my kiddos started getting hungry, so I had to shift gears and make dinner instead. So in this video, while I talk about reinventing yourself, you're actually going to be watching me make dinner, which is going to be tacos. So please enjoy. But while I do that, I kind of wanted to have a little chat with you guys about the idea of reinventing yourself. And is that actually possible? I think it's both yes and no. I think it is possible to reinvent yourself. I think one day you can wake up and say, this is who I want to be, and anything outside of that ideal is not going to fly anymore. That absolutely is possible, and I know this for a fact because I've done it myself. What's not possible is to reinvent yourself into something you don't actually want to be. Forgive my dog if you could hear him eating, by the way. He's just eating off on the side here in the kitchen. It is possible to reinvent yourself, but it's not possible to make yourself be something you don't actually want to be. If there's this ideal that you think, oh, this would be really cool if I was like this, but it's not who you are at your core, you can't make yourself that. You have to embrace who you are and who you want to be, but you can't make yourself something you're not. I can't make myself a ballerina, for instance. I love ballet, and there's a big part of me that wishes I had done ballet as a little girl and was living out my ballerina dreams right now. But it's just not in the cards. In order to be a ballerina, I'd have to have done it when I was a little girl and have all that training, and I'm already at 32 years old, pretty much aged out of doing it anymore anyways. So there is some truth to not being able to be all that you want to be. But there is truth in working with what you have. And I am here to tell you that it's totally possible to reinvent yourself into who you want to be and start living that today. Firstly, it's important to purge yourself and your life of all things that don't coincide with who you want to be. That can be clothes, people, jobs, houses, any state, city, whatever you want to call it, but you need to embrace fully who you are and who you want to be by embodying it body, soul, mind, and putting aside anything that doesn't go along with that identity. It's totally possible, even if you don't have a lot of money. Believe me, I know what it's like to work on a small budget. It's totally possible to reinvent yourself without spending a fortune. You may have to start in small ways, and this can be really disappointing because you may have these high ideals of just diving into it, and believe me, I get it. As a fellow dreamer, I understand wanting to just dive all in, but sometimes we can't afford to do that, and we have to do the patient, slow route. I think for most of us, that's the case, and certainly for me. I can't afford to replace my whole wardrobe. It's just not in the budget. But what I can do is make sure the clothes that I really love and really speak to me are clean and ready for me to use frequently. Yes, this is a dress that I've worn many times on this channel. It's my all-time favorite. So I make sure that this dress is clean and ready to be worn frequently because it makes me feel like my true self. And it makes me feel happy and productive and like I'm living out my cottagecore princess dreams. That's important. So make sure that even if you have a limited amount of wardrobe that fits your identity, that it's clean and ready to go for you. It's also about what you bring into your home. So from this day forward, you're no longer going to bring in anything, clothes, decoration, or whatever it may be, that doesn't coincide with who you want to be. So for me, healthiness is a part of who I want to be. I want to live a healthy, productive, full life. And in order to do that, I need to bring in healthy food into my home and restrict the amount of unhealthy food that I consume both inside and outside of my home. It's about creating a whole lifestyle, both inside and outside, that you can adopt that will coincide with who you want to be and get you to where you want to go. Not all of us can afford to just uproot our lives or completely redo our wardrobes and homes. What you can do is take steps forward to that person. Reinventing yourself is really about embracing who you really are. It's about making the actions represent who you feel on the inside. An activity to help you figure out who this person is that helped me can be to just empty your brain and think only of who you want to be and what you want that person to look like. Now, you just close your eyes and you start to imagine that person. What are they dressed like? What are they doing? What does their hair look like? What do their shoes look like? Every detail. Imagine what that person looks like, what they're doing, and then you will have an idea of who you really feel you are at your core and who you want to become and what direction you want to take to get there. The steps you take forward can be really small. It can be as simple as adding little bows into your hair if those speak to you. Or it can be really big, like I said, is moving to a new state or a new house. But whatever steps you do take, make sure they align with who you want to be. Another great way to figure out who you are and who you want to be is to take some quizzes online about identities and aesthetics. One aesthetic that really speaks to me is cottagecore. And once I discovered what cottagecore was, suddenly all the aspects of my personality really lined up, and I understood so much more about who I am once I understood what that aesthetic was. And I finally had something to call it. I knew I had all of these hobbies and all of these interests, and I knew that I liked that style, but I didn't really know what to call it. And having a way to identify really helps you know and understand what you want and how to measure up to that standard. But there are many different kinds of aesthetics. There's Barbie core, royal core, goblin core. There are literally probably dozens of aesthetics online, and any number of them might speak to you. So go ahead and do yourself a favor, take a quiz and find out what your aesthetic is so that you'll better know how to identify your personal style and who you want to be. Just start taking steps today to become that person. Some steps that I'm taking is redoing my kitchen in colors that really speak to me and that are really cottagey, because again, I really love cottagecore. I'm also making sure that my hairstyles that I practice doing my hair with are cottagecore hairstyles. And when I have downtime, I like to imagine what the perfect version of myself in my mind's eye is, what she looks like, what she's wearing. It helps me reinforce that I'm heading in the right direction, that I understand who I want to be and how I want to present myself to the world. But as I said, there's always going to be paths that you could have taken, but you didn't, for whatever reasons. Maybe you weren't able to, or maybe your time has passed to take those paths, or maybe you couldn't afford to, or maybe just another path speaks to you more. Either way, there are going to be paths that you can't take at this point in your life. And that's okay. Learning to embrace that you missed some opportunities is a part of life and a part of growing and maturing and being okay with the direction your life is taking. It's important at least to give yourself the time to process that loss, because it is a loss. For me, wanting to be a ballerina is a loss that I just simply can never have. I can take ballet classes and that's great, but I can never be a professional ballerina. And there's a part of me that hurts with knowing that. It's the same with having more kids. I had 5 miscarriages, and unfortunately it's just not in the cards for me to have more kids. But I've learned to embrace that, and I had to give myself time to discover what I really wanted and what I wanted to prioritize, because there was options for adoption or fostering, but ultimately I came to understand that at this point in my life I'm ready to move on from having kids and just focus on my hobbies and myself. And it's a really great opportunity for me to finally kind of pour into myself. When I was raising little ones, I didn't really have the time for that, whereas now I finally do. So it's about processing all of those missed opportunities, but embracing the new opportunities that are before you, because I guarantee you there are opportunities that you can take, and it's time that you do it for yourself. 2024 can be our year to embrace who we are, to really live in that space and take steps forward, no matter how small they are. Like I said, it can be as simple as putting little bows in your hair. Those are pretty inexpensive, and if you have ribbon in your house, you can do it. Whatever it is, just take steps forward. Take steps towards that person. Purge what you can, replace what you can when you can, and make effort to becoming that person. And I guarantee you, you're going to live a much better life by not necessarily reinventing yourself, but embracing yourself. The real you, the you that's inside and that really wants to get out. I'm just going to do a little quick taste test. Delicious. Thanks for joining in. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.